It's Movie Time is brought to you by the Gateway Film Center, 1550 North High Street, Columbus, Ohio. Further details and showtimes online at gatewayfilmcenter.com.
The award-winning It's Movie Time is produced by John DeSando. Listen to the shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando.
And I'm Linda Baas McClelland.
And this is
It's Movie Time.
Linda, the film is Whiplash. It stars Miles Teller as a gifted young musician, a drummer, and his instructor at a Juilliard type of school in New York City, played by J.K. Simmons. And to say that Teller plays an ambitious young man is almost too understated. But to say that his teacher, professor, is kind is not. What do you think?
No, Fletcher is manipulative. He is furniture throwing, profanity spitting. He's a tyrant.
He's my kind of teacher.
He's scary. He's scary. And Andrew, who has a combination of insecurity and self-confidence, is just being pushed by this teacher. And the main message, I think, is how far are you willing to push yourself to succeed, and how far are you willing to push someone else so that they succeed? So how does that correspond to your theory of teaching?
Well, it's hyperbole, of course, in the sense of the way that the film depicts it. No teacher I know could ever keep a job were he to browbeat his students the way he did. Yeah. And we'll see eventually what happens in the normal course of things. But in the heart of the film, where you have this untrammeled teacher pushing these young people to greatness, I love the idea, but I can't. I was a tough teacher. Anyone out there who was my student will know that
I can't understand that.
But I was a caring teacher. It's just that I wouldn't brook laziness. And I knew that there was more that a student could do. And when you get gifted students, you know that to be true. So there's so much sympathy for Fletcher in his attempt to pull this out, and knowing that it had to be difficult.
Right.
But you're talking at one point when he actually slaps him.
Right.
You can't do that.
He is abusive. but my favorite line that Fletcher speaks is, the two most dangerous words in the English language are "good job."
You know, that I love that quote. I think that is certainly should go down as one of the great lines in film history. And I disagree in some sense that we can always say, if after this show we do a good job, I say to you, Linda, good job. It's not that for the next show you're going to slack. It's just that we know that we hit it right on that show. Yeah. And there's no reason why you can't do that while endangering your ambition. But the way he cuts it,
right,
you just simply can't say that. You would never compliment.
But in this era of drowning kids in praise, and where every child gets a trophy for just showing up, I wanted to stand up and say, right on, because I see parents repeatedly saying, good job, good job, good job. And it's just like, that's enough.
And I certainly agree with you. And I have been in collegiate teaching for 30 years or more, and I have seen that exact point. And I've seen students come up from the lower schools into college, whereby they're nonplussed when you challenge them, or when you criticize them, even in the most benign way. And I'm good at it, but you criticize them, they're not used to it. They think you're absolutely right. We have done a complete disservice to students.
Do they just collapse?
Oh, they don't, but you can tell that they are not even perhaps going to listen to what you say.
Ooh.
You know, they're not used to that, so this is not all students,
right.
But you just get the feeling in the air is one of complimenting, one of always building up the person's ego.
Right.
When in fact, if you're at a place like Juilliard, there's no room for you to be anything but ambitious and willing to put in all the effort.
Was.
Yeah. Yes, right.
Very ambitious.
Now, Linda, I do know that your Bad Movie Club did go to this with you.
Oh, yes, they did.
And now tell me, I'm because out there, first of all, our local art theater, the Drexel Theater, has extended the run. So I'm hoping that by the time people get to hear our show,
right,
that it will still be at the Drexel. but there seems to me to be a caution here when you're a very literate, successful, intelligent group. And what was their response?
They felt it wasn't easy to watch because of the brutality and the profanity. It just was almost too much for them. The gripping climax of the movie gave me whiplash because of the tension and the tempo. And when the film ends, I discovered I'd been holding my breath, and my hands were like this, and my heart was beating like Andrew's drums. I mean, it was just full of tension. And my friends really found that difficult to take.
I can't believe it. Well, as you know, I love this movie, and I'm quite capable of standing back and saying, okay, that's extreme.
Yeah, I think that's what they thought. It was extreme.
Yeah, but yet I can accept that as a part of the art of the film. But they were holding it to a higher standard for correctness. I mean, certainly
I guess.
He laces all of his abuse with homophobic comments, so he is certainly not, and sexist comments.
Yeah.
And he's certainly not nice or politically correct at all.
Every once in a while, you'd see a softening in his eyes, and you knew that his theory of how he was doing this was good. He was on the right track, but the way he did it was just brutal. It really was.
You know, you talked about that last scene, and it is a tour de force.
Oh my God!
I think you're right. It is. The movie's to be seen, and it must be going on for 10 minutes or more. I don't know.
Oh, it does.
Yeah. And,
don't want to spoil it, but wow.
No, Miles Teller comes to the movie as an actor who plays drums.
That's right.
And so it is very apparent by the time of the end of the movie that he knows how to play drums.
Yes.
And the final sequence, I don't know whether giving it away or not, but we do know that he gets a chance to play the drums furiously, and Buddy Rich would have been really very proud of him.
And the title Whiplash refers to the name of a song that they start and stop and start and stop and play throughout the movie. Like I said before, I had whiplash by the time the movie was over.
It's a great title.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just perfect.
And the soundtrack would be a real perk for jazz lovers, and it gave me a new appreciation for musicians and what they go through to excel.
For sure. I think the cinematography is very good. I
yeah.
know it cuts to his hands playing the drums a great deal.
Yes.
And whether they are Miles Teller's hands or not, I guess is,
right.
Well, it's kind of, so what? It's what the movie attempts to show you. And so they do a very nice job.
Very good job. The blood and the sweat splattering on the cymbals and the drums. And,
as well as some longer shots that allow the two antagonists, professor-student, to be on both sides of the frame and looking at each other in truly a combat.
Yeah.
Do you think there'll be any nominations coming from this film?
I don't think so.
Oh, all right.
I know, I'm just being very honest.
I know. And you don't think so in the case of Simmons playing Fletcher?
Perhaps.
Okay.
But it was so over the top.
All right. And I do think that I believe that Simmons will be nominated, but probably because it is so extreme.
Yeah.
It won't. First of all, it won't be seen by that many people.
Right.
But it's going to have the support, and some just react very negatively to that kind of brutality, even though we have violence all over
the place. But maybe they're thinking of him as he's in commercials on television for car insurance, and of course he plays such an opposite person when he's selling car insurance or talking about cars and stuff. It's just very interesting.
He is a great actor.
He is a great actor.
This is the plum role of his life.
Yep.
Well, Lenny.
Johnny.
You know it's that time.
It's time to grade the movie.
It is, and I'm going to go first now because I usually make you go first. Linda, the film is Whiplash. It stars Miles Teller and J.K. Simmons. And I'm awarding it a B+. And my reason is it's extreme, which I think tends to mitigate the overall effect of the film by being almost unbelievable. But beyond that, the acting is superb, and I love the theme. How about you?
This wasn't an easy movie to watch at times, and many filmgoers might be tempted to even get up and walk out, like some of my friends, but it just gets pushed too far because they can't take it anymore.
Right.
But because of its merits, I give it a B as
Good.
well.
All right. So we can say to our audience, there are some who won't like it.
Yep.
But there are some sophisticates who will truly like this film and stay with it and recognize its metaphoric properties. It's still hanging out in theaters, and that's one of the reasons in it's movie time we sometimes don't do the big blockbusters because we want to get the message out there. If you're a discerning viewer, check out Whiplash.
Indeed.